Digestion and Nutrition of Horses. Topic Outline. Topic 1. Introduction to the digestive anatomy and physiology of the horse. Topic 2. Anatomical parts of the equine digestive tract. Anatomical features, main functions, related issues to the tract's anatomy and functions as they relate to modern feeding practices. Topic 4. Two important macrominerals for horses, calcium and phosphorus. Topic 3. Nutrition for horses. Management suggestions. Introduction to the digestive anatomy and physiology of the horse. Horses are non-ruminant herbivores, meaning they eat mainly plant material. Although the horse has a single compartment stomach like pig, the dog, and the people, the horse can use roughage like the cow or sheep, when in fact these animals are ruminants and have 4 compartments in their stomachs to break down forages. The fibrous portion of the plant material ingested through fermentation in the horse's hindgut, cecum, and colon. The condition of the horse's feces can indicate the health of the horse. Slimy mucus-covered droppings may indicate an irritation in the horse's intestines. Hard droppings may indicate a lack of water, a lack of exercise, or too dry or indigestible feed. Very soft or watery droppings may indicate too much hard work, too much grazing, or a slight irritation of the intestines. Whole grain in the feces may indicate that the teeth may need floating or that the horse eats too rapidly. The digestive tract of the horse is designed to process small meals, obtained by eating most of the diet as a natural grazing situation. The horse's foregut consists of the mouth, esophagus, stomach, and small intestine, which has responsibility for digestion and absorption of the most non-fiber nutrients.
Anatomical parts of the equine digestive tract. The anatomical features, main functions, related issues to the tract's anatomy, and functions as they relate to modern feeding practices. The anatomy of the equine digestive tract is divided into two, which is the foregut and the hindgut. The foregut consists of mouth, esophagus, stomach, and small intestine, while the hindgut consists of cecum, large colon, and small colon. The first part of the foregut is the mouth. Anatomical features of the mouth are teeth, tongue, and salivary glands. The main functions of the mouth is the process of digestion begins as soon as food enters the mouth. Chewing includes prehension. Incisors grasp feed and mastication molars grind feed. Chewing grinds food into smaller particles and mixes it with saliva to begin the digestive process. Horses secrete large amounts of saliva only when the horse is chewing. Saliva lubricates the bolus of feed for easier passage through the esophagus, and it helps buffer the acid in the stomach and produces amylase, which begins the breakdown of carbohydrates. And last is the forage promotes increased production of saliva. Forage should be fed at less than 1% of the horse body weight. Related issues of the mouth. The teeth will develop sharp points over time. Routine dental care will enhance digestion by improving mastication. Next is the esophagus. The anatomical features of the esophagus. The esophagus is 4 to 5 feet long. Its main function is to transport the bolus of feed by one-wave peristaltic waves from mouth to the stomach. Related issues regarding the esophagus. Choke occurs when feed becomes lodged in the esophagus. Choke is the most common in greedy eaters or bolting and those with dental issues. Choke may require veterinary intervention. Owners can slow feed intake for greedy eaters by placing large stones in the feeder, mixing some forage with concentrate, and wetting the hay to soften it. Next is the stomach. The stomach anatomical features. The stomach comprises approximately 10% of the total digestive capacity. It is 2 to 4 gallons in capacity. The horse has the smallest stomach in relation to body size of all domestic animals. The rate of passage is variable depending on the meal size. Retention of feed is normally less than 2 hours. Larger meals reduce residence time. The main functions of the stomach is it stores feed, it regulates passage of feed into the small intestine. The secretion of hydrochloric acid and pepsin contributes to the chemical breakdown of food. Secretion of pepsin begins protein digestion, and it has very little absorption of nutrients occurs in the stomach. Related issues regarding the stomach. The small capacity is not conducive to large and frequent meals. Feeding large meals can lead to gastric distension and colic. Secretion of gastric acid continues for many hours even when the stomach is empty, which can contribute to the development of ulcers. Microbial population will rapidly ferment dietary sugar and starch to lactic acid, which can also contribute to ulcer development. And the last part of the foregut is the small intestine. The anatomical features of the small intestine. The small intestine comprises approximately 28% of the total digestive tract. It is approximately 70 feet in length and consists of the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. The accessory organs include the pancreas and liver. Food can pass through the small intestine in as little as 30 to 90 minutes, but most requires 3 to 4 hours. The main functions of the small intestines it is the primary site of the digestion of NSC, or starch and sugars, proteins and fats or oils, via enzymes from the pancreas and intestinal lining. Fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, calcium and phosphorus are also absorbed in the small intestine. Enzyme action for fat metabolism facilitated by bile from the liver. Horse does not have a gallbladder, so some microbial activity occurs on disaccharides and polysaccharides. The absorption of end products of digestion are NSC, which is absorbs primarily as simple sugars. In high levels results in significant increases of blood glucose and insulin. The protein is absorbed as amino acids. The fats or oils is absorbed as fatty acids and glycerol. And last, the vitamins and or minerals absorbed as individual vitamin and mineral complexes, including chelates or organic minerals. The related issues in the small intestine is that it is enzyme secretion adapts to the diet. The volume of feed consumed and rate of passage affect digestion and absorption of nutrients. Larger volume will increase the rate of passage and will decrease digestion and absorption. And lastly, the numerous turns and folds increases the risk of impaction.
Hindgut comprised of the cecum, large colon, and small colon. Cecum is 12 to 15% of total tract capacity. Feed remains in the cecum for about 7 hours. The horse is what we call the modified monogastric or hindgut fermenter. Horse only has a single stomach and it has a specialized compartment in its hindgut called the cecum. Cecum where it digests fiber in the forage that it eats. Also, cecum is a blind sac that food goes in and stay for a period of several hours, where the microbes ferment this food, and after it's been fermented, it would leave and go into large colon. The large colon and small colon is 40 to 50% of total tract capacity. Feed-in may reach the large colon in as little as 7 hours post-feeding and will stay here for 48 to 65 hours. The small colon reclaims excess water and returns it to the body. This is where the fecal balls are formed. Fecal balls are undigested and mostly indigestible portion of what the horse was fed. Large colon and small colon serve the main purpose of resorbing water. Not a lot of digestion happens in hindgut beyond the cecum. Large and small colon, their main role is to pull water back into the horse. If you compare the feces of the horse to the other animals such as a cow, you'll notice that the feces are very well formed and a lot more drier. Large colon is made up of 4 sections: right ventral, left ventral, right dorsal, and left dorsal colon. Compared to the cecum, the microbiome of the large colon is more varied. Main functions: microbial fermentation in the large colon continues to produce VFA, methane, ammonia, B vitamins, and amino acids. Protein and amino acids that escape from the foregut or were produced within the hindgut and cecum are largely utilized by bacteria and are not considered available for absorption by the host. Within the colon, some minerals and electrolytes such as sodium, chloride, and potassium are absorbed along with the water before ingesta moves into the small colon. As ingesta moves from the large colon to the small colon, it enters the final portion of the horse GIT. Fecal balls form and move through the small colon toward the last 12 inches, which is referred to as a rectum, thus ending the journey through the equine gastrointestinal tract. Related issues: passage of NSC, non-structural carbohydrates, from the small intestine to the hindgut is undesirable. Causes overproduction of gas and lactic acid. The passage of food through the small intestine is rapid. It reaches the cecum approximately 1 to 8 hours after ingestion. Much of the food moves through the small intestine at the rate of about 30 cm per minute. The passage rate is influenced by the type of feed consumed. Pellet feeds have a faster rate of passage than hay. Also, fresh grass moves more rapidly than hay. Change in pH favors pathogenic bacteria which can lead to discomfort, colic, laminitis, and enterotoxemia. Epidemiological studies have established an increased risk of colic associated with sudden changes in diet, which result from an alteration of fermentation patterns and a metabolic disorder within 4 to 6 days after dietary change. Numerous turns and falls increase of impactions and movement of gas contributing to gas colic and twisted intestine. Colic is in general term that refers to abdominal pain in horses, while some cases may be so mild that they may not even notice. Colic can quickly become a medical and even surgical emergency. Hay changes. Changes in hay, including switching types or feeding a new cut, can increase a horse's chances of developing colic by 10 times. Grain changes. Grain changes, including changes in amount, type, or brand, can cause a 5 times increase in colic risk. Lack of water. Lack of access to water has been associated with greater risks of GI trouble, including impaction, colic. Increased stall time. Research shows that stabling increases the chances of colic episode compared to being turned out. Changes in activity. Sudden increases or decreases in amount of exercise a horse gets can lead to digestive disturbance. Deworming. Failure to receive appropriate deworming doubles a horse's risk of developing colic. History of colic. Horses with a history of previous colic are at fourfold higher risk for future colic episodes.
Minerals are involved in a variety of functions in the body, including enzymes, structural components, energy transfer, and acid-base balance. Minerals are also incorporated into vitamins, amino acids, and hormones. Thus, proper mineral nutrition is vital to have a healthy horse. The minerals that are needed in the largest quantities by horses are referred to as the macro minerals. Two important macro minerals for the horse is calcium and phosphorus. It's said that horse's body comprises around 70% of the mineral content. Calcium's major role is to provide bone strength, but is also necessary for blood coagulation, temperature regulation, enzyme activity regulation, neuromuscular functions, as well as enzyme energy generation. Most people think that calcium's role in the body as that of bone development and integrity. Certainly, the skeleton accounts for 99% of the calcium in the horse's body. However, Ca is absolutely essential for neuromuscular function, blood clotting, cell signaling, and an array of enzymes. Because of its importance, calcium's concentrations are very tightly regulated in the blood. When Ca in the diet is inadequate, the bone serves as a major reservoir. Thus, the body will sacrifice calcium within the bone to maintain blood Ca homeostasis. In a prolonged period of Ca deprivation can lead to a weakened skeleton, which is in addition, this means that the blood values of Ca are relatively poor indicators of Ca status in the horse. Majority of Ca is found in teeth and bones. Calcium supplements can be integral to a horse's health and diet. Over 99% of a horse's body is found in the bones and teeth. This can impact everything from blood flow to their ability to properly chew food. Phosphorus works with Ca to give strength to bone. It is also has a role in energy metabolism, cell membranes, and buffering fluctuations in potential hydrogen. Phosphorus is important for bone growth and skeletal health in horses. While Ca is the major player, P makes up 14 to 17% of the mineral component of a horse's skeleton. But that is not all it does. Phosphorus is vital in energy transfer or ATP, DNA and RNA synthesis, cell membranes, and etc. Therefore, phosphorus is an important aspect of mineral nutrition. When there is a dietary Ca or P deficiency, the skeleton may mobilize Ca and P to maintain plasma concentrations and non-skeletal functions. Either a deficiency or excess of Ca or P can result in skeletal diseases. The ratio of CAP can be less than 1:1 when insufficient Ca is fed, when excess P is fed, or when more P than Ca is fed. Now, phosphorus deficiencies are typically not seen in mature horses, even when exercising. However, just like with Ca, special attention needs to be paid to the broad mares and foals, both of which are forming new bone. Inadequate P results in a slowing of the growth rate of young horses and can lead to improper bone formation. However, excess P can be more of a concern because it can inhibit Ca absorption. This interaction of minerals is why random supplementation is strongly discouraged. Prolonged conditions of excessive P can lead to the development of secondary nutritional hyperparathyroidism. Horses should not Horses should not be fed more than 1% of their diet as P. Typically, because this is not an issue unless the feed source is predominantly cereal grains like wheat bran or oats, which are high in P. Conceivably, this could happen on all grass forage, but not legumes, with a high grain intake containing no mineral supplement in high calcium.
Dietary minerals have complex interactions that can impact the absorption and metabolism of other minerals in the body. This is why it is important to supplement minerals in balanced ratios. Maintaining an appropriate ratio of calcium to phosphorus in the diet is important, especially for pregnant, lactating, and growing horses. The ratio of calcium to phosphorus should be around 1.5 to 2:1 for most mature horses. This means that there should be 1.5 to 2 grams of calcium for every 1 gram of phosphorus in the diet. Ratios of up to 9:1 can be tolerated as long as the horse is meeting their minimum daily phosphorus requirement. Growing horses can tolerate up to a 6:1 ratio of calcium to phosphorus as long as they are getting enough phosphorus in the diet. The calcium to phosphorus ratio of the diet should never go below 1:1 or else dietary phosphorus will interfere with calcium absorption. These can have negative effects on bone development for growing and mature horses. Feeding more phosphorus than calcium impairs the body's ability to absorb the latter mineral, which in turn causes an array of musculoskeletal issues. Individual components in the diet may have ratios outside these ranges. What is important is the ratio of the overall diet. The following situations can result in a less than 1:1 ratio. These are: if a diet containing a high proportion of unfortified cereal grains is fed, there may be more phosphorus than calcium. Commercial grain products always balances the calcium and phosphorus in the product. A diet consisting of a high percentage of wheat bran continues a high concentration of phosphorus, and diets with a high percentage of bran commonly have a calcium to phosphorus ratio that is less than 1:1. A diet that contains an excess of a phosphorus containing mineral supplement. A diet based on a pasture which has a low calcium and normal to high phosphorus concentration. Lastly, horses grazing pastures in a region with phosphorus deficient soils or are fed hay from a region with phosphorus deficient soils can result in a dietary phosphorus deficiency. In short, calcium and phosphorus are two very important macrominerals required by horses. The ratio of calcium to phosphorus is as important as the total amount fed. Generally, if one feeds a commercial grain with either a grass or legume hay, the calcium to phosphorus ratio should be met. The ratio is less than 1:1 with overfeeding calcium or phosphorus supplements. Feeding excess bran or the soil has excess phosphorus, resulting in forages with excess phosphorus. always look at the total ration when assessing if the nutrient requirements are being met for a horse.
Management suggestions. Always maintain regular feeding schedule. Base a feeding program on high-quality forage. Only feed concentrate to meet nutrient requirements not met by the forage. Concentrate, grains, fiber, low to 2 to 10%. Energy, high. Protein, low, 8 to 10%. Cost, reasonable. Examples of concentrate feeds are corn, oats, wheat, barley, and sorghum. Feed small meals, especially concentrates, in small amounts. Feeding guidelines. Forage is the base. Always try to feed the most forage possible. Feeding about 2% of the horse's BW. 1,000 pound horse equal to 20 pounds. Feeding a 1,000 pound horse at maintenance, if 5 to 6 pounds grain, then no less than 15 pounds of hay.
To minimize the NSC or non-starch carbohydrates level in the concentrate while assuring adequate supply of energy and other non-calorie nutrients, we need to utilize highly digestible fiber and fat for increased calorie needs in the performance of the horses, lactating mares, and growing horses whenever possible. And also make feed changes slowly. When changing to a richer forage such as pasture or legume hay, allow 7 to 10 days for adjustments of microbes in hindgut. Remember, horses' stomachs cannot cope with drastic change and it upsets the microbes in the GI or known as gastrointestinal tract, causing colic. Also, follow a regular schedule for dental and care deworm because it is one of the most common reasons why they have a thin horse.
And that would be all. Thank you.